Welcome to this deep dive
Oh,
into a world of fire and brimstone.
okay.
Io, Jupiter's most volatile moon.
Yeah.
Just imagine standing on a world dominated by the looming presence of Jupiter, surrounded by erupting volcanoes, molten rock,
Yeah,
and a sulfurous atmosphere.
that sounds pretty incredible.
This is Io,
Yeah,
a place where beauty and chaos collide, and
we're gonna-
today we're going to be exploring its secrets.
See, that's a good way to put it.
Welcome to Cosmos in a Pod Space and Astronomy series.
Yeah, it's a fascinating world, isn't it?
It is.
Io is a prime example of how the universe can surprise us.
Absolutely.
Like, it challenges our assumptions about what's even possible
Right.
and forces us to kind of like expand our understanding of what we know about planetary science.
Absolutely. Now, before we get lost in the fiery details,
Sure.
could you give us a quick overview of what makes Io so unique?
Yeah.
What are the key things that we're going to be exploring today?
Well, Io is the most volcanically active body in our solar system. So it's constantly erupting, reshaping its landscape with molten rock
Wow.
and spewing plumes of gas hundreds of kilometers into space.
Really?
So we'll be exploring the reasons behind this intense volcanic activity,
Okay.
the role of Jupiter's gravity, and the fascinating interplay between Io and its neighboring moons.
Okay. Sounds intense. And I remember reading somewhere that Io's volcanic activity is driven by kind of gravitational tug of war.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you explain how that works?
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Okay.
Io is caught in this constant gravitational dance between Jupiter
Okay.
and its fellow Galilean moons Europa and Ganymede.
Got it.
So Jupiter's immense gravity pulls on Io, causing it to stretch and bulge.
Mhm.
And as Io orbits Jupiter, this stretching and squeezing
Yeah.
generates friction within its interior,
Oh.
heating it up like a massive internal furnace.
So it's not just random volcanic eruptions.
Right.
It's this constant push and pull from Jupiter
Yeah.
that's keeping Io in a perpetual state of fiery upheaval.
Precisely. And this process, called
Mhm.
tidal heating, is a fundamental force that shapes planets and moons throughout the universe.
Okay.
It's a reminder that even seemingly chaotic events like volcanic eruptions
Yeah.
are often part of a larger, intricate dance of forces.
That's fascinating. Makes you realize just how interconnected everything is in the cosmos.
Right.
Now, speaking of discoveries, wasn't Io one of the first moons discovered beyond our own?
Mm-hmm.
I imagine the first astronomers must have been blown away by that.
Yeah, you're thinking of Galileo,
Okay.
who back in the 17th century
Yeah.
pointed his newly invented telescope at Jupiter
Right.
and discovered 4 tiny points of light orbiting the gas giant.
Oh, wow.
Those were Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto,
Okay.
the 4 largest of Jupiter's moons,
Got it.
now known as the Galilean moons.
So back then, they just saw these tiny dots.
Yeah.
It wasn't until centuries later that we got to see the true fiery nature of Io.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. The first detailed images of Io came from the Voyager spacecraft in the late 1970s. Oh, wow.
They revealed a world unlike anything we'd ever seen before.
Really?
A world dominated by volcanoes
Mm-hmm.
and coated in sulfurous compounds, giving it a distinctly yellow-orange hue.
It must have been a mind-blowing moment for scientists
Cool.
to realize that this seemingly insignificant dot
Right.
was actually a fiery dynamic world.
It was a paradigm shift
Yeah.
in our understanding of the solar system.
Yeah.
It showed us that moons weren't just passive, cratered objects.
Okay.
They could be active, evolving worlds with their own unique stories to tell.
Now, you mentioned that Io is similar in size to our own moon.
Yeah.
Can you give us a sense of scale?
Yeah.
How do their compositions compare?
Io is just slightly larger than our moon,
Okay.
but that's where the similarities end.
Yeah.
Our moon is essentially a cold, dead rock.
Right.
Io, on the other hand, is a dynamic world
Right.
with a molten interior.
Mm-hmm.
It has a core of iron and sulfur surrounded by a mantle of partially molten rock.
Kind of like a massive subterranean magma ocean.
Wow, a magma ocean.
Yeah.
So while our moon is geologically quiet,
Right?
Io is like a giant cosmic pressure cooker, constantly spewing out molten material.
Exactly. And this constant activity makes Io a fascinating laboratory
Oh,
for studying planetary evolution.
okay.
It offers us a glimpse into the processes that shaped the early solar system
Hmm.
and helps us understand how planets and moons form and evolve over time.
Speaking of volcanic activity,
Yeah.
just how many volcanoes are we talking about here?
Over 400 active volcanoes.
400.
Yeah. Some of these volcanoes are incredibly powerful,
Wow.
spewing lava fountains hundreds of kilometers high,
Really?
creating plumes that can even escape Io's thin atmosphere and reach into space.
Oh,
It's a truly awe-inspiring sight.
hundreds of kilometers.
Yeah.
That's just incomprehensible.
It's a lot.
Are there any particular volcanoes on Io that stand out?
Yeah.
Any real showstoppers?
One of the most notable is Pele,
Okay.
named after the Hawaiian volcano goddess.
Yeah.
Pele is responsible for a massive ring-shaped deposit of volcanic material
Oh, wow.
called the Pele Ring, which stretches over 1,000 kilometers.
Wait, 1,000 kilometers?
Yeah.
That's like the size of a small country.
It's huge.
I'm guessing that's visible from space.
Absolutely. It's one of the most prominent features on Io's surface.
Wow.
You can actually see it in images taken by spacecraft that have visited Jupiter.
Okay.
It's a testament to the sheer scale and power of Io's volcanic activity.
Incredible. So we've got towering plumes of lava, giant rings of volcanic material.
Yeah.
What else is going on Io's surface?
Yeah.
What would we see if we could actually stand there?
Besides the volcanoes, you'd see vast plains coated in sulfur and sulfur dioxide frost, giving Io its distinctive yellowish hue.
Yeah.
You'd also find towering mountains, some even taller than Mount Everest, formed by the constant pushing and pulling of Io's crust.
Mountains taller than Everest.
Yep.
Wow. So it's not all just flat plains and volcanoes.
Right.
There's a lot of dramatic topography going on there, too.
Exactly. And all of these features are constantly changing
Right.
thanks to Io's intense geological activity.
Hmm.
Mountains rise and fall, plains are reshaped by lava flows, and new volcanic vents appear all the time.
Wow.
It's a world in constant flux.
Yeah.
A truly dynamic and ever-changing landscape.
It sounds like something out of a science fiction movie.
It does.
But it's real. It's happening right now.
Right.
Millions of kilometers away in our own solar system.
Yeah.
Now, what about the atmosphere?
Yeah.
Is it as wild as the surface?
It's certainly unique. Io has a very thin atmosphere,
Okay.
much thinner than Earth's, composed mostly of sulfur dioxide gas, which is constantly being replenished by the volcanic eruptions.
Sulfur dioxide. So if we could somehow stand on Io,
Yeah.
we'd be choking on a toxic sulfurous smog.
It wouldn't be a pleasant place to visit, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But the thinness of Io's atmosphere does create another fascinating phenomenon. It's auroras.
Auroras? Like the northern lights here on Earth.
Yeah.
But I thought those were caused by interactions with the Earth's magnetic field.
Right.
Does Io have a magnetic field too?
That's the interesting part. Io doesn't have its own intrinsic magnetic field.
Okay.
However, it does have a unique interaction with Jupiter's powerful magnetic field.
Mm-hmm.
As Io orbits Jupiter, it cuts through the planet's magnetic field lines,
Okay.
generating electric currents within the moon.
So it's like Io is borrowing Jupiter's magnetic field to
Yeah.
create its own temporary shield.
It's more like Io is carving a path through Jupiter's magnetic field,
Okay.
and that interaction creates a complex and dynamic electromagnetic environment around the moon.
Got it.
This interaction also has a profound impact on Io's atmosphere, stripping away gas and contributing to its thinness.
So Jupiter is constantly stealing Io's atmosphere.
In a way,
It doesn't seem very fair.
no.
But it's also what makes Io so geologically active.
Yeah, exactly. It's a complex relationship, a cosmic give and take.
Right.
Jupiter's gravity is both the source of Io's intense volcanic activity and the reason why it has such a thin atmosphere.
It's fascinating how these forces work together
Yeah,
to shape Io into the unique world it is.
right.
Speaking of unique,
Yeah.
we can't forget about those auroras you mentioned.
Yeah.
How are they different from the ones we see on Earth?
Well, for one, Io's auroras often appear at its equator,
Oh, wow.
unlike Earth's, which are concentrated at the poles.
Okay.
They also tend to be much brighter and more dynamic,
Yeah.
glowing in shades of red, green, and yellow,
Wow.
creating a truly alien spectacle.
Auroras at the equator.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine standing on Io,
Yeah.
surrounded by volcanoes,
Correct.
with those dazzling lights dancing overhead. It
Yeah.
would be like something out of a dream.
It would be a truly unforgettable experience, a testament to the beauty and wonder of our universe.
Yeah.
But as we've seen, Io is a world of extremes, a
Right.
place where beauty and chaos collide.
Absolutely.
It's a reminder that the cosmos is full of surprises,
Yeah.
constantly challenging our assumptions and pushing us to expand our understanding of what's possible.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And we've only just scratched the surface of this fascinating world.
Right.
Now, before we dive deeper into the mysteries of Io,
Okay.
let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned so far.
Yeah.
What are some of the key takeaways you want our listeners to remember?
Okay, so Io is a place that just grabs your attention, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
Before we paused, we were discussing Io's dramatic landscape
Yeah.
and its unique auroras.
Yeah.
It's incredible how such a seemingly small moon
Right.
can be so dynamic and complex.
It is, isn't it? And what's even more remarkable is that by studying Io, we can gain insights into the evolution of planets and moons throughout the universe. It's like a window into the early solar system.
That's what I find so fascinating about astronomy,
Yeah.
how these distant worlds can teach us so much about our own planet
Right.
and the processes that shaped our solar system. But how do scientists actually study Io?
Yeah.
It's not like we could just send a rover there, can we?
Not yet, anyway.
Right.
Io's environment is far too harsh for a rover to survive.
Yeah.
The intense radiation from Jupiter, the constant volcanic eruptions, the extreme temperatures.
Yeah.
It's a very challenging place to explore, but we
Yeah.
do have other tools at our disposal.
Like powerful telescopes, both on Earth and in space.
Exactly. Telescopes allow us to observe Io from a safe distance, capturing stunning images and collecting valuable data. We can analyze the composition of its atmosphere,
Okay.
study its volcanic plumes, track the movement of its surface features, and even map its temperature variations.
It's amazing what we can learn from those observations,
It is,
even from millions of kilometers away.
yeah.
What are some of the key things we're hoping to learn about Io's interior?
One of the big questions is about the composition and structure of Io's core.
Okay.
We know it's made of iron and sulfur, but we'd like to understand more about its density, its temperature, and how it interacts with the surrounding mantle.
It must be like trying to solve a puzzle with only a few of the pieces.
In a way it is, but each new observation, each piece of data, helps us fill in the gaps and get a clearer picture of Io's inner workings.
Right.
We're also using computer models to simulate the processes that drive Io's volcanic activity
Okay.
and to understand how tidal heating affects its interior.
So it's a combination of observations, modeling, and a lot of scientific detective work.
Precisely. And every new discovery, every insight we gain,
Yeah.
not only deepens our understanding of Io, but also helps us refine our models of planetary formation and evolution.
It's exciting to think about the mysteries that Io still holds,
It is.
waiting to be uncovered. Now, speaking of future exploration,
Yeah.
are there any missions planned that will give us an even closer look at this fascinating moon?
While there are no dedicated missions to Io currently planned, several upcoming missions will provide us with valuable new data. NASA's Juno mission,
Right.
which is currently orbiting Jupiter, has already captured some incredible images of Io
Wow.
and will continue to observe it throughout its extended mission.
And I believe both NASA and the European Space Agency
Right.
have missions planned to explore Jupiter's icy moons. Europa and Ganymede, right?
That's right. NASA's Europa Clipper and the ESA's JUICE mission
Okay.
are both scheduled to launch in the coming years.
Got it.
While their primary focus will be on Europa and Ganymede, they will inevitably capture some stunning images and data about Io
Wow.
as they fly by.
So even though Io isn't the main attraction in those missions,
Yeah.
it's still going to steal the show with its dramatic eruptions and colorful landscape.
It's hard to ignore a world as dynamic and visually captivating as Io.
Right.
And who knows, maybe those flyby observations will spark renewed interest in a dedicated mission to Io someday.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah.
Now, before we move on, I wanted to circle back to something we touched on earlier,
Yeah.
the possibility of life on Io.
Right.
I know it sounds crazy given the extreme conditions,
Yeah.
but is there even a remote chance that some form of life could exist on this volcanic moon?
It's a question that scientists have pondered for years.
Right.
On the surface, Io seems incredibly hostile to life as we know it.
Yeah.
The temperatures are extreme, the volcanic activity is constant, and the atmosphere is thin and toxic.
But life on Earth has surprised us time and time again.
True.
We found organisms thriving in incredibly harsh environments,
Right?
from deep-sea hydrothermal vents to acidic hot springs.
That's true. And some scientists speculate that beneath Io's surface, there could be pockets of liquid water heated by tidal forces
Okay.
and perhaps shielded from the worst of the radiation.
Hidden oceans beneath all that fire and brimstone.
Yeah.
It sounds almost too incredible to believe.
It's certainly a long shot, but it's not entirely impossible. And if liquid water does exist beneath Io's surface, then the possibility of life, however strange or different it might be, cannot be ruled out entirely.
That's an intriguing thought. Even if we never find definitive proof of life on Io, the very act of searching, of exploring these extreme environments pushes the boundaries of our understanding and helps us better define what life even means.
Absolutely. The search for life beyond Earth is ultimately a search for ourselves, for our place in the vastness of the cosmos. And worlds like Io, with their extreme environments and their potential for harboring strange and unexpected forms of life, force us to confront the limits of our imagination and to expand our definition of what's possible.
Now, we've been talking a lot about Io's internal structure and the forces that shape its surface. But what about its relationship with Jupiter? How does this gas giant influence Io's evolution?
Jupiter's influence on Io is profound. As we discussed earlier, its immense gravity is the primary driver of Io's volcanic activity, generating the tidal forces that heat its interior and keep its volcanoes erupting.
And Jupiter's magnetic field plays a key role in creating those stunning auroras we talked about,
Exactly. Io is constantly interacting with Jupiter's magnetosphere, creating a complex and dynamic electromagnetic environment that shapes its atmosphere and produces those dazzling light shows.
It's like a cosmic dance, a delicate balance of forces between a giant planet and its fiery moon.
It's a reminder that in the universe, everything is interconnected. Even seemingly isolated worlds like Io are part of a larger system influenced by the forces and interactions that shape our cosmos.
Speaking of connections, Io isn't the only moon orbiting Jupiter, right? How does it interact with its fellow Galilean moons?
That's another fascinating aspect of Io's story. It's locked in a gravitational resonance with Europa and Ganymede, meaning their orbital periods are related in a specific ratio. This resonance creates a rhythmic tug-of-war that contributes to ease volcanic activity.
So it's not just Jupiter's gravity that's at play here. It's a complex interplay between all three moons, creating a sort of celestial ballet.
Exactly. And this intricate dance has profound implications for the evolution of all three moons. It influences their internal structures, their surface features, and even the potential for harboring life.
This is also mind-boggling.
It is.
It makes you realize just how much we still have to learn about our own solar system, let alone the vastness of the universe beyond.
It's a humbling thought, isn't it? But it's also incredibly exciting.
It is.
Every new discovery, every piece of data we collect brings us one step closer to understanding the grand tapestry of the cosmos.
Well, before we wrap up our journey to Io, I wanted to take a moment to appreciate its sheer beauty. Despite its harsh conditions and constant turmoil, there's a certain undeniable allure to this fiery moon.
There is, isn't there? Io's dramatic landscape, its vibrant colors, its constant dance of fire and light. It's a testament to the power and beauty of nature. A reminder that even in the most extreme environments, wonder can be found.
It's a world that challenges our assumptions, expands our imagination, and reminds us that there's still so much out there to explore and understand. Now, before we bid farewell to this volcanic wonderland, I'd like to hear your final thoughts on Io. And what you hope our listeners take away from this deep dive.
Io is definitely a place that keeps you on your toes, doesn't it?
It does. It's been an incredible journey exploring this fiery, dynamic world. I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of what makes Io so fascinating.
It's true. Io is a world that keeps on giving. Every time we think we've figured it out, it throws us a new curveball. Challenging our assumptions and pushing the boundaries of our understanding.
Before we wrap up, I wanted to touch on one more aspect of Io that we haven't really explored yet. Its significance in the broader context of space exploration. Why should we care about this distant volcanic moon? What can it teach us about the universe as a whole?
That's a great question. Io is more than just a fascinating oddity in our solar system. It's a valuable laboratory for understanding planetary processes that occur throughout the cosmos. By studying Io's volcanic activity, tidal heating, and interactions with Jupiter's magnetic field, we gain insights into the fundamental forces that shape planets and moons throughout the universe.
So it's not just about Io itself. It's about using Io as a model to understand similar processes happening on other worlds, even those beyond our solar system.
Precisely. The lessons we learn from Io can be applied to other volcanic worlds, like Venus or even exoplanets orbiting distant stars.
Wow.
It helps us refine our models of planetary formation and evolution, giving us a broader perspective on the diversity and complexity of worlds that might exist out there.
It's like using a magnifying glass to study a tiny part of the universe, and then realizing that those insights can be applied to the grandest scales imaginable.
It's a testament to the interconnectedness of the cosmos.
Right.
What we learn from studying Io can inform our understanding of the universe as a whole.
Wow.
It's a reminder that even the smallest, most seemingly insignificant objects can hold profound secrets and offer valuable insights into the workings of nature.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And it makes me wonder about the future of Io exploration.
Yeah.
What are some of the big unanswered questions that scientists are still grappling with?
One of the biggest mysteries is the nature of Io's interior.
Okay.
We have a general idea of its structure, and there's still much we don't know about the composition and dynamics of its core and mantle.
Right.
We'd also like to understand more about the processes that drive its volcanic activity, how those eruptions are triggered, and how they affect the moon's surface and atmosphere.
And of course, the question of life on Io, however unlikely it might seem, is always going to be a tantalizing possibility.
Indeed. The search for life beyond Earth is one of the most fundamental quests in science.
Right.
And while Io might not be the most obvious candidate, it does offer some intriguing possibilities. The potential for hidden oceans beneath its surface, perhaps heated by tidal forces and containing the chemical building blocks of life.
Wow.
Is a thought that keeps scientists intrigued.
It's a reminder that we should never underestimate the creativity of nature.
Yeah.
The ability of life to find a foothold in even the most unexpected places.
Exactly. The universe is full of surprises, and Io is a prime example of that.
It is.
It's a world that constantly challenges our assumptions, expands our imagination.
Absolutely.
And reminds us that there's still so much out there to discover.
Well, I think it's safe to say that our deep dive into Io has left us with more questions than answers.
It has.
But that's the beauty of science, isn't it? It's a journey of constant exploration.
It is.
Of seeking knowledge and understanding. Of pushing the boundaries of what we know and what we thought was possible.
Couldn't agree more. And as we continue to explore Io, I have no doubt that it will continue to surprise and amaze us for generations to come.
This has been an incredible journey to the most volcanic world in our solar system. From its fiery eruptions to its towering peaks and its unique auroras, Io is a testament to the power and beauty of nature. A reminder that the universe is filled with marvels waiting to be discovered. Thank you for joining us on Cosmos in a Pod, Space and Astronomy series. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review. And if you have questions or suggestions for future episodes, we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep looking up. The universe is vast, beautiful, and full of stories waiting to be told.